Alright guys, how's it going? This was supposed to have been a FreeSync video, but I spent and wasted a bunch of time on it due to one or two things that were out of my control. So instead, I'm going to be having a look at Nvidia's DPC latency issue. Now, I don't know if you've heard about this, but apparently many owners of the Pascal graphics cards, that is your 1060 up to your 1080, are having issues with latency in games and when watching video. Now, I had the 1080 a couple of months ago and I never noticed anything, so I just kind of put it down to being one of those things that affects maybe one or two people, but the vast majority don't notice anything. But now that I've got the 1060 into the benchmarking system, I've started playing around with it a little bit more. It's a nice card, it's really quiet, very power efficient, and I've enjoyed playing with it. But I kept getting emails from people asking me to take a look at this issue. And one in particular was from a system builder who had built around 20 systems and claimed that all of them had issues with this DPC latency. So I just thought, well, now it's time for me to take a look at this properly. So let's get started on it. Right, so the first thing I'm going to say is this is not a new issue that only affects Pascal. This has been going on for a very long time with certain Nvidia cards, although it appears to have come to a head with Pascal. Back in 2010, dropouts, cracks, pops on Windows 7. It appears to be the Nvidia graphics card driver, which is causing latency in Windows, and in some cases this is affecting audio. People are reporting cracks and pops. 2011 we had horrible sound cracks and pops. 2013, Nvidia's Windows kernel mode driver, but this latency also manifests as stuttering in certain games, and Counter-Strike is one that I see mentioned a lot. This was 2014, so it does appear to be an ongoing issue. However, like I said, it has come to a head with Pascal, and after a bunch of reports, Nvidia came out and said, yeah, we believe we understand the root cause and will provide a fix through a future driver, which they did. They released a hotfix driver for the DPC latency, but even after the hotfix, it still continued. And there are still pages and pages of reports of issues. And like I said, people emailed me to ask me to take a look at it. So here we are. Now, because I'm using Windows 10, I'm going to need this program called Latency Monitor. There is another one, which I can't remember the name of. If you're using Windows 7, just do a search for Latency Monitor Windows 7 and you'll get it. But what it does is it checks if a system running Windows is suitable for processing real-time audio and other tasks. So Latency Monitor will display the highest latencies of a kernel timer and report the highest execution times of ISR and DPC routines as well as hard page faults. If we scroll down a bit, we can read more about DPCs and ISRs. And basically what this is about is that the Windows Thread Dispatcher, right, or the scheduler is a better name for it, I believe. It executes threads based on a priority scheme. So threads with higher priority will be giving a longer execution time than threads with a lower priority. That all makes perfect sense. But there are also other types of execution. Interrupt service routines, or ISRs, and you can probably figure out that an interrupt service routine interrupts whichever threads were running at the time. And it says here that an interrupt can occur on the same processor that an audio program is running on. And any thread that was running on the processor on which an interrupt occurred will be temporarily halted regardless of its priority, which is really the whole point of an interrupt. So when this happens, this ISR is executed and may schedule a DPC, which is a deferred procedure call, to offload an amount of work. The DPC will most likely run immediately on the same processor, which means the audio application will halt until both the ISR and the DPC routines have finished execution. Therefore, to guarantee responsiveness of the system, ISR and DPC routines should execute as fast as possible. Obviously, if you've got audio running and then some kind of interrupt comes in to say we need to get this done as fast as possible, and then if it doesn't finish as fast as possible, then clearly your audio is going to lag or it's going to stutter. And not just your audio, this could be your video as well. Guidelines say that they should not spend more than 100 microseconds of execution time. However, this is often not reached due to hardware factors beyond the control of the driver developer. If execution time gets too high, the audio program may be unable to deliver audio buffers to the hardware in a timely manner. Right, so that was possibly a little bit more technical than I had expected, but I'm pretty sure you can figure out what's happening here, yeah? Whenever one of these interrupts occurs, it needs to be done as fast as possible, or you're going to get some kind of lag, either in audio or in video. Right, so let's check out this Latency Monitor program then. Right, the first thing you're going to notice about Latency Mon is it does exactly what it says it does. It really does monitor latencies with everything in your system. It's a very simple program to use, but a lot of the results obviously depend on what is running on your system and at what time. But we'll just start it to show you what it's like. Now if you watch this hard page fault count, it's just going to go up and up and up. This is when like your page file is being written to or read, but you've got your current measured latency here. You've got your highest measured latency, and you've got your highest reported ISR routine execution time, and your highest reported DPC routine execution time. This is the one we're interested in. Now, if you start noticing a bunch of hard faults, you can click on Processes, click on Hard Page Faults, and it will tell you which programs are causing it. So right now, it's Action, which is my recording software, and Latency Monitor itself. So that's absolutely fine. You simply cannot avoid page faults with some programs. But let's go back to main. And we can see already that the highest reported DPC is well over 100 microseconds. But what happens when we start up a game? Now let's load up Fallout. Instantly you can see the page faults go through the roof. If you click on Processes, you can see that the Fallout launcher started some. There's this thing called Runtime Broker. Again, nothing to worry about too much there. Really interested in these ones, especially when gaming or watching a video, that kind of thing. Now if I Alt-Tab out, I can see that straight away, the highest reported DPC routine execution time has jumped up quite a lot, and it appears to be the Nvidia Windows kernel mode driver, which has caused it. So that's 2251 microseconds, or 2.2 milliseconds. And now it says your system appears to be having trouble handling real-time audio and other tasks. You're likely to experience buffer underruns appearing as dropouts, clicks or pops. One or more DPC routines that belong to a driver running in your system appear to be executing for too long. The problem may be related to power management, however. Disable the CPU throttling settings in control panel and BIOS setup. So really what you should do is disable your turbo and your speed step on an Intel CPU to see if this still happens. Right, so we're back again. I have switched off my turbo boost, I have switched off Intel speed step, and I've also turned off a bunch of processes that were running in the background because I want as little as possible interfering with this. So let's start again. Once again, you can see the total hard page fault count just continues to rise. There's always something, yeah. Action seems to cause one or two, as does Latency Monitor itself. But again, nothing to worry about there. So for the first few seconds, things definitely appear to be a lot better. Everything's much lower now. So let's check out another game and see what happens then. So let's try out The Witcher 3 now. Page faults go through the roof. And at first glance, everything appears much better. We can still see that the Nvidia driver is causing the highest reported DPC, but it's a lot better than what it was. We'll try playing around for a few minutes and see what happens though. So after 8 minutes of play, absolutely nothing to report there really, which makes me wonder, is it just the Nvidia driver, or is it the Nvidia driver in conjunction with another driver? Let's try Fallout again. And interestingly enough, after only a few minutes of playing Fallout 4, once again we are up at this high, over 2 millisecond DPC routine execution time. So that now makes me think, is this on a game per game basis? These numbers look very similar to what they were before. Holy shit, I've just been killed by a Mirelurk King. First I've ever been in that spot in Fallout. But anyway, I was of course testing this, so that's a little bit odd. There's no problems in The Witcher 3, yet once again in Fallout 4 we've got this over 2 milliseconds execution time. So this requires a bit more testing, I think. Right, so I decided to run a game at around 200 frames per second. In this case, Elder Scrolls Online, on medium settings. It's just about capable of maintaining around the 200 frames per second level, which is very similar to your Counter-Strike players. My thinking here was simple. If there's going to be huge latency spikes, I'm definitely going to notice that running at 200 frames per second. You're going to notice 2 milliseconds, because that's going to cause a massive drop in frame rate. But I played for an hour and noticed absolutely nothing untoward. And when I Alt-Tabbed out the game, we once again see this 2.2 milliseconds latency. So by now I'm thinking, let's do this the smart way. I've got 2 monitors, so why not run Latency Mon on the left monitor and watch what's happening while I'm gaming? So I also decided to record what was happening on my left monitor using OBS. Now as you can see, this is the old numbers, so I'm just going to Alt-Tab out and rerun Latency Monitor from the start. and instantly we can see the DPC routine execution time jumps to over 2 milliseconds. Now I thought that's a little bit curious because I had never seen that before, and the reason it was causing it was the Alt tabbing itself. So what I'm going to do is go into settings, change my display mode to windowed full screen rather than full screen. And now instead of Alt tabbing, I am able to press escape, move my mouse cursor over to Latency Monitor, and restart the monitor. And straight away we can see there is no huge jump here this time. So if I now go back into Elder Scrolls, click on resume, we have not got that huge latency spike from Alt tabbing. And guess what? I played Elder Scrolls Online for well over an hour, and the latencies got nowhere near as bad as what they appeared to be due to the Alt tabbing. I then tried the exact same thing in Fallout, switching to borderless window instead of full screen, and once again there was no problem with the latency. It appears, in my case, the culprit has been found. The reason I couldn't detect anything in-game was because there was nothing in-game. These latency spikes simply came from Alt tabbing in and out of the game. They also appeared when exiting the game in full screen mode, as I will show you now. Now I'm going to quit the game, and I can actually see the latency monitor flickering on the left hand side when that happens. So for me, that appears to be the big culprit for my latency issues. There is, however, still one more thing to try, and that is streaming video. Right, so the final thing to test, streaming video, apparently in a window, but not full screen. Sometimes this will cause stutter and obvious audio popping. So I'm just going to test this out for now. We'll keep an eye on the latencies while running my old Zen video. So there's absolutely nothing happening here that is untoward, but let's try full screening. That's not that. Right, full screen. Then come back out of full screen. No change whatsoever. So for me, I'm seeing absolutely nothing to suggest that I'm having this issue here either. So really, this is what it's all about. I am not saying that this is not an issue, because obviously a lot of people are having issues, but for me, I think it's like what I thought it was to start with. It's 1 or 2 people are having this issue, and then there's sort of been a bandwagon effect as people started checking out this latency monitor, started alt tabbing out of games, and noticing these massive latencies which are not actually in the game. If you're suffering from this issue, you're going to be hearing popping noises and sound issues, and you're going to see stutter. In my case, I was imagining these issues simply because Latency Monitor, while alt tabbing, was telling me I was having massive latency issues. So for those of you who think you've had these issues, try out what I've tried here. Really easy if you've got a second monitor, and it might put some of your minds at rest. I do still see 1 or 2 little things that makes me think, maybe there is an issue there. But Nvidia says they're working on it. It doesn't look like a massive issue to me, so let's just wait and see how that one goes. If you are having issues with it, please let me know. Let me know exactly what it is that's causing it, and I can always give it another try. But otherwise, looks like an open and shut case for me. Right, this video took a week to get out because of what I talked about my FreeSync issue, and it started to make me think about how I am doing videos, because when I start a video like this, and on the 3rd day something goes wrong, then it puts a week in between my video output, which is just not enough. So I'm going to start doing smaller videos. I know I said this was before, and I immediately started releasing even longer videos. That's just my mentality. But because this one took so long, I'm going to do a short video over the next couple of days, just to clarify another point that some people were bringing up on the channel. And next week there should hopefully be 1 or 2 different things, including some news on Zen towards the end of the week. So look out for that one, and I'll catch you later, guys.